The opinions expressed in the following podcast are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security or investment product. It is only intended to provide education and entertainment about the financial industry and the stock market. Enjoy.
On this episode of Pennies Going in Raw, we talk about indicators, our 1 year anniversary, and FinTwit Las Vegas.
Pennies Going in Raw.
Featuring Dan, Deity at Dukes,
and Hugh Honey.
New intro under construction.
Today's episode of Pennies Going in Raw is brought to you by Benzinga. Benzinga is our absolute favorite resource to use to trade with. We use it for charts and news and scanners. Look, guys, we use it for everything except for buying and selling stocks. I mean, that's all there is to it. And if you're not using Benzinga Pro, which you can get for 2 weeks free at pro.benzinga.com. That's pro.benzinga.com. You should at least be checking out their YouTube channel every single day. YouTube.com/Benzinga. They have Hot Stocks Lukes and a just plethora of fantastic guests from me and Hugh to Mia Khalifa to Ripster to CEOs of companies to CEOs of Weeble. They have it all, guys. Make sure you check it out. That's youtube.com/Benzinga. Welcome back to another episode of Pennies Going in Raw. Today is Wednesday, July the 14th. And before we start off, I know a lot of people are going to comment on the intro that is in, it's under construction right now. But there is a really, really cool reason for that I've had to keep secret for over 3 months. But it is finally getting to the time where we can almost tell you guys, and it will be a very cool announcement. So we'll get to that whenever we're allowed.
I made a massive bet that you wouldn't be able to keep it secret. So,
yeah, I actually made
So-
$100 bet this weekend that you wouldn't wear a Ron John shirt with Gary, so he's got to pay up on that.
You motherfuckers.
No, I mean, so I appreciate you, dressing like you're not 16 anymore for a few days. That really helped me out. Continuing on, we were going to talk about indicators, obviously, but before we get into our indicators, we haven't been fully fledged in the market the past few days, given, where we've been, but we checked Twitter and it did seem to be super hot. Everyone did seem to have big days. And then on Tuesday, it seemed like it was another real great day with continued runners. Ultras apparently had a hot hand. But it seems like this morning things are a little bit tougher. Is there a kind of, if there are 2 super hot days in a row or 3 or 4, does it ever seem like it's just overextended and it just needs that day to pull back? Did we just get too hot on Monday, Tuesday?
Yeah, we definitely don't want to get too hot too quick. And from the sounds of it, that's what it sounded like. I mean, people were having that. You and I are hungover in Houston, and people were having like their $1 million days, like day trading. Like that's just insane.
Yeah, no, it pissed me off. It was like, damn, maybe I should have made my flight back home so I could have traded. But it is what it is. So you think that's kind of what's happening today?
Yeah, for sure. And you got that. There's also a few large caps that are up today, which always takes the volume, And I mean, SPY's hitting a new record high, every day, but it seems like it's on low volume, which brings volume into smaller caps. But on the same token, when large caps have really big days, that takes the volume away from small caps.
Is that always going to be the case with low volume and SPY makes? Because I felt like, there were times a few, when everything was dipping, it was like there was low volume in SPY, but there was also like no volume in penny stocks and stuff.
Yeah. The rule of thumb usually is inverse of SPY. So if SPY is really red, then usually momentum comes to penny stocks and small floats. So that bigger funds can make some money while everything else takes a massive crap. But that being said, what we saw inside the last year was that when SPY was pulling back, microcaps did as well. So I'll be interested to see specifically, not really July, but in August, because in the last 2 years, everything has been different. 2 years ago, August was super dead and it was no fun.
Yeah, I was just going to say how it seems like the past year and a half, a lot of these rules have gone out the window. Seasonality. I feel like seasonality is still obviously there, but it's a couple months off, there's obviously that chart with all the months, and it says, where to go short here, go small caps here, go large caps here. But it seems like it's a couple months behind this year.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's exactly why I've been enjoying really looking back at the last quarter or the last month and reflecting on where we're at, because it gives me, everything's been so seasonal, at least for my short career. It's been so seasonal. It has been on the dollar, 6 weeks into May, boom, we're here. August is always dead. By the fourth day of August, I'm ready to blow my brains out. So it's actually been really refreshing to have something different, kind of keep us on our toes. That being said, if it gets really, I don't want it to get quiet. I don't want volume to die down. But it might not be the worst thing in the world to have, 4 weeks of some calmness, and then we spring into fall really hot. Because if we get hot during the fall, then we could really set ourselves up, because the fall, usually the way that the fall works is that it gets really hot mid-September to really November. So you got six solid weeks. I'm talking really solid weeks. And then December is usually, it depends on what SPY is doing in taxes. If there's a lot of selling, if there's a lot of buying, because, a lot of funds are trying to make their books look better. They're trying to window dress, we call it. And so December can usually be a toss up, that's kind of your toss up month. But I really like the fall because it's always been 6 solid weeks. So I'll sacrifice 3 to 4 weeks in August to have 6 unstoppable weeks of just fire, because that's usually what makes my year.
Yeah, we got to find out the day Fubo started that 60-day green streak, and then we just got to load up on Wish. That's my theory. It's got to do the same thing. And that's only because we stayed with Zach for 2 days, and now I'm I think it's something in the air at his house. It's whoosh, 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 whoosh.
The Wish house is actually his house, not in LA.
He owns it. So going on to indicators, people ask us about indicators all the time. I think a lot of people ask about indicators because they need something besides just the screen time, but that is obviously what really tells you to buy. But indicators do help a lot. Scanners, indicators, you got your VWAPs and your chart setups, but there are so many and so much that we got to narrow it down. Where do you want to start with indicating your stocky stocks?
So I guess we'll start with VWAP, because I feel that VWAP is naturally. The VWAP is always the house mom of the group, She's always there taking care of everybody. Everybody's got VWAP on.
Yeah, we always and we had an episode on VWAP because people use VWAP for everything. It'll bounce off VWAP if it breaks through VWAP, if it passes VWAP, and it's damn, is there anything VWAP can't do?
Yeah, I talked to it about everything. life problems. It's just always there. It's always there.
Well, I guess
which is the
first.
Yeah, go ahead.
First things first about it though would be is like, how do you find the VWAP? Have you ever been talking to people and two people have different VWAPs for the same stock?
No, because VWAP doesn't change.
Well, some people have the wrong VWAP, mainly Kenny Powers. I swear Kenny Powers would always have the wrong VWAP.
I mean, okay, so I'm strictly talking about volume weighted average price. There are certain other things like anchored VWAP.
No, I think his like app was just wrong. Like it's just like delayed.
If it was going to be anybody, it'd be Kenny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so VWAP, the way that I really use VWAP is I use it kind of as like hey, this stock should be here. And what I mean by that is that if the retractment to the north of the VWAP, so high, or the retractment south of the VWAP, low, gets too far away from each other, then I know that there should be a bounce in either direction coming rather soon. This kind of goes back to I use this similar to an RSI kind of think about it. So if the VWAP's riding along the middle and, stock ABC is 20% north of the VWAP or 20% higher than the VWAP, that is a pretty good sign to me that, hey, let me shave some off because there should be some kind of correction coming towards the VWAP. Especially because because this could stop buyers from buying if they see it this far away from the VWAP. If it's 20% away from the VWAP, then that's going to stop people from buying, and that's like kind of a clue that it might be overextended. And if you're long a stock, you want a healthy pullback like that. Like you do want that. Or at the same token, if let's just say like a stock has terrible binary news, and the stock is like 40% down from VWAP, then I'll take a nibble there. Now you have to be cautious, obviously, because if there's a catalyst and that's the reason that it's down, it can always continue to go down. But that's a pretty good sign that, hey, there should be some relief at some point. That's usually how I use VWAP. I just kind of use it just kind of like a gauge.
Yeah, so use the term healthy pullback kind of a good bit. Do you kind of use VWAP to decide your healthy pullback? If it pulls back past VWAP, is that an unhealthy pullback?
No, because there can be, we talked about it, but algorithms are super smart. So there can be certain algorithms that take a stock just underneath the VWAP. Like I'm talking like 3% underneath the VWAP. And that's something that you have to be prepared for. But for the most part, if I start to see it failing through VWAP, then I'll also keep that in mind, But overall, I just kind of use it as a gauge, like, hey, the stock should be here. It's up here. Let me pull some back. If it comes back down the VWAP and it bounces twice, then I'll add some more because that means that's holding support.
So how tough is it to realize when you should cut these things when they fall through VWAP and it's just a kind of a stop loss rate from the super smart algos as opposed to just, actually failing through it? When do you eventually, as a day trader, and then I guess it wouldn't matter as a swing trader because, it's more based on catalyst. But, as a day trader, when would you decide, hey, this is seriously failing VWAP as opposed to these algorithms are just trying to get newer traders out?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So all this takes time. Like this isn't like, hey, that candle is a little bit more red than the other. That signals something. No, this takes time, which means that no matter what chart you're looking on, you need the chart to set up. So when it breaks down through VWAP, the next important thing to me is going to be what happens when it finds support, starts to curl back up. What to do the next time that it touches VWAP? Does it touch VWAP and immediately bounce off? And what I mean by that is reject off the VWAP, or does it try and struggle through, get through, and then it comes back down? Like all of that is where price action is so important. So ideally, like what we would want to see is something like, okay, break down through VWAP, reject VWAP on the second tap. That'll really that the second time that it rejects VWAP, that'll really soak in a lot of shorts because that's a bearish setup. Now, if it comes back down, holds the same support range, curls back up and breaks through VWAP, that's super bullish. So that's something that I really look for a lot, is that it's not necessarily the first time that it comes back to VWAP after breaking through, it's the second time. And that gives really good risk to reward on that support. If you buy it at that support, and even if you want to take some off right at VWAP, that can get you 5-6% sometimes. And then if it does break through VWAP and it starts going and starts squeezing shorts, now you got like a pretty good runner on your hands.
And do you set any of those kind of like, indications like what you were just referring to leading to a good risk reward setups into your scanner involving VWAP?
Nah, I can't watch.
You're just using that on the stocks that you're in or you're trading, and not okay. I'm just looking for a decent risk reward setup from my scanner.
Yeah, exactly. No, because I found that anytime I like that you mentioned that, because anytime I found that I've tried to find like setups that are super detailed like that, that's when I usually end up losing the most money. And that's because I don't understand. I don't know everything about the company. I don't understand how it trades because I've just been watching it for an hour instead of like 3 days, that's when I realized I just lose the most money. And that comes down to, you can have a great setup and it can be a systematic trade, but at the same time, sometimes it just doesn't work out like that. Sometimes you just have to shrug it off.
So you touched on RSI a little bit. Do you want to go into that one next, or do you want to touch on a different indicator?
No, we can do RSI because I think RSI is super important as well. And that's the relative strength index. Yeah, relative strength index. And what that means is that if the relative strength index is above, let's call it so 50 is like pretty neutral. Okay, 40 to 50 is kind of neutral. Anything underneath 30 is considered undervalued or oversold. Okay, so that means that so many people have sold it and they continue to sell it that it's at a pretty good price comparatively. Or above 70 is overbought, or the price is pretty much at like a premium. So buyers stepped in so much that it's now it's trading at a premium to where it should be. Same thing. 35 is at a not a bargain. What's the word?
Slightly overbought.
Discount.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, it's at a discount. So when you're thinking about on a map, okay, you have neutral. Okay, think about like a bar map. Okay, you have neutral at 45 to 50, 70. When the line starts to cross into 70, that is overbought. Okay, or it's trading at a premium. And then on the bottom, if it's crossing underneath, let's call it like 30, then that is oversold. And that's usually a bullish indicator, or can be, And then once you really start to get up to like let's call it the 5-minute chart. When you start to get to the 5-minute chart and the RSI is at 90, sell. That is the biggest sell indicator in the world. It can continue to go to 100, but I guarantee you very soon the indicator won't be at 90. So that's something to keep in mind. That's something that I'll kind of peek at before I enter a swing, is that on the larger charts, what's the RSI at? Because an RSI above 80 is usually a pretty good sell signal. Or if it's not a sell signal, it's just hey, let me take some off the plate here. Let me take my initial investment off because now this is signaling that it needs a pullback. Again, all of this is just, you're gathering info and you're gathering data. And with stocks, there's so much data and there's so much info that's where it comes down to, okay, who are, I call it my top advisors or my top indicators, who are going to give me their best opinion. Okay, none of this is going to be hey, RSI hits 90, sell immediately. That's not what I'm saying about any of this, but all of these
wouldn't have made nearly as much on AMC and GameStop if you did that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so all of this just creates a hypothesis for, what you're going to do. And it just helps your plan because, I'm not going to sit there and stare at a chart for a minute and say, okay, it looks overbought, it looks oversold, because all of it depends on what you're looking at because there's so much data in stocks.
Yeah, that's actually one like a good transition to what I was gonna say. When I first started, RSI and VWAP are two of the first things you find out that you kind of need to learn. Everyone mentions them, but RSI, when I first started, man, I was like, what in the hell? Because you had to put it on there's so many different minute charts, all these different numbers, and I'm having to think like. And then you also have to consider, what if it's kind of like you're trying to figure out when to enter a swing? At what point is it just like the selling just continues? Is RSI a good way to find out if the dip will keep dipping or if you're actually getting a decent bargain?
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. And that's what I'm saying is that you have to like all of this takes you a lot of time. Like it's not like you just come to the market, you say, you know what? I like the 5-minute chart. That's the one. That's the one I'm going to use.
Because you can make any chart look good if you look.
Oh
yeah.
Oh, you can make any chart look bullish. Oh, you can make any chart look bearish.
You draw on it long enough, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, and that's why you need to create top advisors. I'm just going to keep using that. Top advisors or charts that you find work for you, and you don't need to overthink it. It doesn't need to be like this works best for me because it can just work best for you. Like that's fine. Like you could say like, hey, I have the most luck trading with this chart and call it a day. If you like it and it feels good to you, great, do it. And then based off of that, find your advisors or your indicators that you make the most sense to you and have helped you in making those important decisions. Like, hey, does this look bullish or bearish on the 5-minute? Like it's had a huge slope and now it's kind of hanging off the edge a little bit. Like is that bullish? Is that just like a quick pullback, or is that the start of a downtrend? And obviously we could sit here and we could debate. We could probably pull up any single chart and if we really wanted to debate it, but that's where, it comes into wiping your own ass, being your own man.
It reminds me of in sports a lot of the time, like especially basketball, they'll just post 2 player stats. One will be like a role player and one will be like a superstar. And they'll be like, who had the better season? And they'll be like, this player. And they'll be like, haha, well, this was Anthony Davis and this was like Zach LaVine, or a player that was just far of less stature or ability, and you'd be like, holy shit, who would have thought? And then it'd be like the same if both of us showed you a super shitty chart, like of something that went down 75% in the next 2 weeks, and then one just went up 75% in the next day. You just
hey, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
Yeah, I mean, like we could do that one time, and you could get a chart that for like 2020 hindsight, we know it goes up. 2020 hindsight, we know it goes down, and then we both show why it's bullish or why it's bearish, and it does the opposite, or But
or you take I'm not even gonna go down there, but yes, 100%. I can't agree more. And that's the thing is that like in NFL Scout, it's not like you like I don't know how NFL scouts do it, but you have all this data and you need to sift through it. But for like what, 1,000 different players? Like so that's why I really like the matrix that we started, and that's why I use that the most, because that makes the most sense to me. Like I can't even tell you someone was asking me like how you like change the indicators on your Thinkorswim. I was like, honestly, it's probably been 5 years since I've like done that.
Like you found the settings on your video game that work. Like you've got your keybinds, you've got the graphics set to where your computer doesn't lag. I'm not changing it at all.
Yeah. But, no, I'm not touching it.
So do you have one more indicator you want to talk about? We may be able to make this a weekly thing, talk about different ones, but is there one more you want to talk about, or do you want to start just diving into the rest? We're about 20 minutes in or so.
Well, The last one, although it's not really an indicator, the thing that I think would help a lot of different people, and again, because this comes down to taking all the data and all the knowledge that we're giving on like a daily basis and sifting through that. And one way that I think is really cool to do that is on news searches, searching for keywords or having, settings set for keywords, because there's probably 10,000 PRs a day. I have no idea. But there's so many PRs a day that if you're a day trader and you're looking for news, it can get super overwhelming. Or even a swing trader, it can get super overwhelming. So that's why if you use every news broker has it. If you take the settings and you dial it down to what you need or what you want, that is going to be how you're fast with this news, and how you can understand the news even before everybody else finds it. Because as these things are rolling in every morning, I mean, for me, I turn it off every single morning, like the ding, ding, ding.
I was just about to mention that. I trade with some people, ding, ding, ding. I'm like, how do you deal with that? They'll be like, deal with what? I don't even notice it anymore. I'm like, I sure as hell do.
I can't. I literally can't do that. I can't listen to that. So for me, instead of doing that, just I know out of the corner of my eye, every single time that something else comes up, I know that it's something that I want to pay attention to because it's either about one of my stocks or it's a really good keyword that I like. Like, let's just say data points approved or failed data, or anything. I think we did an entire episode with the Momo floor on this, and they had their little cheat sheet that was really good. If you script it and if you keyword it so that it only things that you trade well come up, then you'll be great.
Yeah, definitely pop in the Atlas Memo chat, and if you ask about, that list, they will definitely pull it up for you. Super helpful. They have a ton of things. It's a hell of a list. It's awesome. And I guess to wrap this episode up, we did have a really nutty weekend, and then also it was our 1 year anniversary, so we will chat about that. One second, I gotta text Vinny back. RSI, VWAP, and what was the last thing we literally just talked about? As the last
RSI, VWAP, and scanning for news.
Fuck, keeps selecting VWAP as a whole word. Go there. Okay. So I guess we'll start it off by talking about the 1 year anniversary, because this is the longest job I've ever had. This is I've never had a relationship that lasted this long. Yeah, longest job was probably about 10 months or so. Longest relationship was about 9 months. So I guess with that, the way we started it was all the way back when we were just doing live streams. And the ones y'all really like, because who wanted to watch just me live stream? And then one day Hugh joined, and it started off this thing where there was someone that knew a lot and someone that had a lot of questions, and it made into an interesting live stream. And eventually we had other guests, and it was like the only really entertaining thing on FinTwit at the time. And that's when we figured it was time to start a podcast. And hell, we almost quit. After episode 10, we stopped making episodes. And thank God you guys made us come back, because, we came back. We started with the interviews. We kept doing it. And we started to get CEOs. Every CEO's company has gone down like 65% afterwards. It is an incredible trend. I don't know if any other person can match. We'll start.
Hey, not Netflix.
Yeah, we'll start shorting the shit out of all these. Yeah, Netflix is probably up like 4%. We gotta stick with the blue chips. If we start tanking those, we've got some issues.
Dude, it's up like 3% today. That's us.
That's us. Yeah, it's residual effect. They should start paying us. But no, I mean it's been such a crazy ride, and there haven't been any like crazy issues we've had, and we have a lot of shit that's going to come. It's going to get massive. Again, I'm terrible at keeping secrets, so I can't talk about it a lot, or I will. You know, my mom always knows her Mother's Day gift like a month and a half in advance. But no,
She knows it before you buy it.
Yeah, no. Well, so no, it has been a wild ride, and I can't believe we're still doing it. And I'm happy to still be doing it. And we got another year in front of you. So we're not gonna let you down, boys. We're gonna keep coming hard. But this weekend, though.
Oh my God, I can't, man. Like I want to die, and it's Wednesday.
Yeah, we start. Oh, and before we get into the weekend, obviously a big thanks to Vinny and Christian, our producers, intern, editor, whatever the fuck. They're the best. None of these get out without them.
By far.
And yeah, no, I mean they make it all happen. There is no pennies going in Raw without the pennies going in producers. But there's no pennies going in Raw without the producers going in Raw. So make sure to show them some love. But yeah, no, we did hit up Vegas. We started our time in Houston on Thursday night, where I got way too drunk in Houston. Like, we didn't even make it to Vegas, and we just went to a bar, you know, something light. An old dip deity.
We thought we were really screwed. We thought we were really screwed for the trip. If we were getting kicked out in Houston.
Yeah, no, it was bad. Hugh was actually getting the card of like the restaurant bar manager. Like, he had made friends with them. There's something weird about this kid where he becomes friends with employees at these places.
Dude,
and I was getting thrown out, like yelling at.
They're like,
it was a good personification of the podcast.
Yeah, they're like, yo, is that your friend at the bar? Like, he's got to go. But also, like, hey, come back anytime. Like, you know, no, anytime. Like, that's cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't expect to get cut off within like the first 3 hours of the trip. But, you know, I mean, it was a good start, and it was a good thing because I was actually incapable of drinking for like the next 16 hours. So it definitely helped me pace myself as we went to Vegas. So we get to Vegas, and wow, we meet people that listen to the podcast all the time. Went to clubs that cost far too much money. A lot. It's honestly crazy coming from Alabama. You know, it's like a $40 night, and you come home hammered from the dive bar, and then you go there and there's a $14,000 minimum. I'm like, how is there a minimum? I just give me X's on my hands. I'll be fine. But no, I mean, we met so many of y'all there. We were like close enough to Megan Fox that it was like, you know, we felt famous. We had an Atlas sign at XS at the Wynn. I went on a hot streak gambling. I signed a hot. Wait, I don't want to describe Christian. Cut it. I signed a girl's tits. Penny's going in Raw listener, so shout out to Erica for allowing that. You know, the first female fan we've ever met. We checked the analytics. We have 1.2% female fans, so we did find the 1%. And so to all our ladies, make sure to comment on the tweet and announce that you're part of the 1%. Not many people are part of the 1%. There are 99% of others that are not.
Yeah, we care about you.
I care a lot about y'all, arguably more than the other 99%. But no, it was a super fun trip. And oh yeah, right as we got there, the dude at the dude that checked us in was like, "Hey, I love your podcast." My favorite thing.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, and he upgraded our rooms. But one of my favorite things, because I saw some people asking about this. Right, he was like, "I love the podcast," and we're like, "Oh, thanks, man." You know, and Zach was with us, and he goes, "Oh, you follow them on Twitter and stuff?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I love their podcast." And he goes, "Do you follow the Mr. Zach Morris guy?" And he goes, "Oh, of course." He goes, "Hey, nice to meet you." He's like, "Oh no way!" Like, oh, the voice memos, I'm hearing it now.
Well, like, he does it. He did it every time we went out, and it's like if they
Never
know
gets
who
old.
we are, yeah, it never gets old. But it's like if they know who the hell we are, they sure as hell know who he is.
Yeah, no, we were thinking about it. Like, if I tweeted everyone go follow Zach Morris, he would get maybe 3 new followers, and I would just get 40 responses. Like, we already do, Dan. But no, him surprising people is always so funny. I don't think anyone's ever been like, oh, so you must be Zach Morris. We were talking about it. It'd be like, okay, so you're Hugh, you're Dan, that's Tommy, that's Gary, that's PJ, and that guy, that's Incredible Bob. Like, but no, I mean, so insane. So insane. I saw people asking about the protocol for meeting him in person because his face is always blurred, even if the other people tweet it. Most people that come up to us in person are super cool. They're not malicious, and they Zachify the picture themselves. They know the rules. Most of them just like show the respect of doing it. So
Yeah, you're inside the
big
boys
shout out
club.
to all y'all. Yeah, you met the boys. You're in the gang now.
Yeah,
So
pretty good.
got to do Vegas we got to do Vegas again.
So are we doing it like next weekend?
Yeah, next weekend. Back to the 120-degree heat. But yeah, shout out. Obviously, we'd give the play-by. I'd give the play-by-play, but I'm the wrong person to ask. I don't remember. But no, it was a ball, and thank you guys for listening. Sorry we've been rambling. I've made sure to let Hugh give out some knowledge on this one. But thank you guys for 1 year of Pennies Going in Raw, and all the opportunities you guys provided us with. It is truly a blessing. So thank you guys, and we'll see you Sunday.